because I want you to realize like it's not just you that seems to think like, why am I the only one with a messy house? Why am I the only one that can't stick to my plan? Why am I the only one that can't get up early? Why are my kids this? Why are my kids that, right? All the things the pressures we put on ourselves, and we think it's just us. We think everyone else seems to have it together. Why can't I do this way? Why don't I feel good today? Why can't I get out of bed and I feel depressed today? Why can't I stick to my eating plan? There's so many things that we do, and we tend to just think it's us. And I want you to know it isn't you. The majority of women feel like this. We just don't talk about it. So I want to cover all those topics. I want, again, you to see your story and mine and know that, okay, I'm doing all right. And there is a whole community of women that struggle with some of the same things. Hey, it's your coach, Jess Gunn, and the host of the Stronger You podcast, where we cut out all the noise and we get honest talking about what really matters to us. We'll chat about everything from how you feel about yourself to all things food and exercise, and also how to best navigate our sometimes crazy days as we focus on doing our best to create a strong mind and body so that we can feel, move, and look our best. I really hope you enjoy this episode. Hey, I'm Jess. I know anytime I come across someone new on a podcast, I always think, who is this person? Like, what can I get from this? Because I know our time is very valuable, mine and yours. So I really appreciate you listening. So I'm here to tell you pretty much who I am and why I would love for you to listen to these. I know when I listen to some, there's a few things that I always want. I want to be either inspired, I want to be entertained, right? Like I have a stressful day, like share something with me that can make me laugh or smile, get my mind off everything that's going on. I love to be educated because the more that I know, right, the better that I can do with anything that I'm studying and learning about. Also though, I love to be able to relate to someone and see similarities. And I want you guys to be able to feel through the speakers that I'm going to bring, from the discussions we're going to have to the topics that we'll cover, that you see your story and my story more than anything. Because I want you to realize like it's not just you that seems to think like, why am I the only one with a messy house? Why am I the only one that can't stick to my plan? Why am I the only one that can't get up early? Why are my kids this? Why are my kids that, right? All the things the pressures we put on ourselves, and we think it's just us. We think everyone else seems to have it together. Why can't I do this way? Why don't I feel good today? Why can't I get out of bed and I feel depressed today? Why can't I stick to my eating plan? There's so many things that we do, and we tend to just think it's us. And I want you to know it isn't you. The majority of women feel like this. We just don't talk about it. So I want to cover all those topics. I want, again, you to see your story and mine and know that, okay, I'm doing all right. And there is a whole community of women that struggle with some of the same things. So what is my story, right? I have a workout program now where I have gym and home workouts for people. I have some social media accounts, just highlighting how to get strong. I want women to be able to feel their very best and build a strong body. Not just focusing just on the number on the scale, but really building their body, finding the healthiest, strongest version. So with this, everyone assumes I've always been an athlete. And so it's a little bit hard to relate, right? Because they're like, I'm older, I'm just starting. You've always been doing this. And I seriously want to laugh out loud. I wish that my siblings were here, because if they knew that anyone thought I was an athlete, they would die. I, up until age 37, 38, when I started my little fitness journey and kind of changed my life around, was the weakest, wimpiest woman alive. Like I could win an award, no joke. So that's why when I tell someone like, you got this, you can do it. And they're like, oh, you just don't get it. I'm like, I do get it. There's nobody weaker than myself. My friends would joke that, we were meeting at the park with our kids and I would drive the 4 houses down. I didn't like movement at all. I had never read a food label, which is probably why I'd put on 20 plus pounds in just over a year and a half. And it was steadily growing. And I just thought, I'm maybe a little bit out of control here. I don't exercise. I don't really watch what I eat. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 4 kids. Again, this is age 37, 38. And that's just all that I knew, right? We know what we know, and that's it. And so I realized like, I didn't necessarily know what to change, but I realized I didn't like how I felt or looked. Like you look down and you're just like, oh, this isn't my body, especially after 4 kids. Like I don't recognize it. You sit on the toilet seat and I feel like my thighs are growing over every time I put on a swimsuit. It's like hiding more and more between my skin. And for me, it was a change. I wasn't used to that. And it was my habits that were leading me where I was, but more than the body that personally at the time I didn't feel like I recognized, I'm sure we can all relate to some degree, was I didn't like how I felt. I was constantly tired and cranky and irritable. And the stay-at-home mom of 4 young kids, that all came out of my family. And I remember my husband, would ask, what's wrong? Like, you're always so irritable when I get home. Did I do something? And Of course, that doesn't make you feel better. You get more irritated at them. But the mom guilt was terrible because I hated the fact that I didn't know how to change. I didn't know what to fix. So I didn't necessarily like how I moved. I was tired, lethargic, didn't have a lot of energy. Didn't necessarily like how I looked because I didn't recognize my body. I didn't know where to start. And so I always focused on the scale. That was it. I had this idea of I weighed this certain amount years ago. If I got back to that amount, then I'll be great. I'll feel better. My family will be happier because I'll be happier, right? And so I would try different eating plans, try different workout plans. I did CrossFit. I did this. I did some VHS videos from home, The Firm, if you guys remember those. I tried all kinds of things and they lasted like 2 or 3 weeks. I always gave up. I wasn't seeing results. I hate to sweat. Didn't know how to do it properly. I just didn't want to do it. There's no excuse. It was just easier not to do it. But everything changed when I shifted my why from the number on the scale to feeling better, being nicer, because I had an incident. And I'm sure maybe as a parent, you guys can relate to some degree. Is I was upstairs with my youngest, my second youngest daughter, and we were brushing her teeth. And she, this is years ago. And so she's standing there and she's a couple years old. She's brushing her teeth and I'm just watching her, making sure she hits them all. And something so simple. She drops the toothbrush in the sink. Not a big deal, right? I, who also don't like germs or dirt, even if it's our own, I don't like bathrooms, overreacted to the max, right? It's night. I'm tired. I'm dead. I overreact because I'm like, oh my gosh, like you can't put that back in your mouth. I got to get you a new toothbrush. We need to clean it or boil it or something. And I was really, really irritated about it. And she looks up at me with her huge blue eyes. Oh my gosh, this always makes me emotional. She looks up at me and she's like, Mom, like, what did I do this time? You're yelling at me again. And it sliced my heart. In that moment, I realized this kid, this beautiful little girl of mine, won't in a couple of years care how skinny I am or the number on the scale. But this kid and everyone else in my family, and maybe even outside of my house, will care how I make them feel. That was a turning point to everything. Because if my kids were to describe me years from now, it would be tired, run down, constantly irritated. In the beginning of the day when I had a little more energy, I was nice. I wasn't always like that, but that's all I could think of was how many times I was snapping or yelling or tired. Oh, I'll do that later with you. I'll read a book to you later. I'm too tired right now. That's all they remember. That horrified me. And so that was my why, and my wake up call is I had to shift what I was eating and my lack of movement at the time. So I felt better and could show up better. And that was the beginning of changing for everything. And so I had no clue where to start, literally none. Common sense told me, you eat a lot of sugar, right? You have every snack your kid has, from a fruit roll up to a bowl of ice cream to, oh my gosh, soda, to everything throughout the day. There was no concept. I ate whatever I wanted. And we probably should start with sugar. That'd be an easy place to start. So I didn't even look at movement. I wasn't even looking at exercise. You don't have to jump in and do all of it. It's very habit, right? It's very habit-based. Everything I had, I was an emotional eater. I had certain habits that were really hard to undo, and sugar was probably one of the hardest. And so I thought, well, that's a smart place to start, is just reduce sugar. And so I focused on that for a few months. And fast forward, that same daughter, my little girl Aubrey, comes in. I'm in the kitchen, I'm at the fridge. And she says, Mom, you seem happy. And I said something like, yeah, it's been a fine day. I'm happy. It's nothing big. She goes, no. She looked at me and she said, oh my gosh, you seem happy. You don't yell at me anymore. And, I turned around and I just bawled because it was so hard for me to give up some of these eating habits. So freaking hard. And that may seem ridiculous, may seem ridiculous to many of you. But when you don't have habits that are healthier and you're used to eating whatever in whatever quantity, and a lot of it was emotional eating and stress eating, it required so much change, and it was hard. I realized I was addicted to sugar. That's what was impacting my mood. And so when I cut that down and reduced the amount of sugar I was having, my mood changed, my energy levels changed. I was a happier person. I don't yell at my kids anymore, which is a miracle. Like, legit, don't yell anymore. I have a different energy and presence about me. So that was my turning point of, oh my gosh, I feel better, right? You don't notice the little changes every single day, but I feel better. And I have a better relationship with my kids, and my husband noticed I seemed happier. And it didn't have anything to do with the scale changing, because the scale had changed a little bit, but not that much. I was actually a little frustrated with it. But then I saw pictures and could see some changes on pictures side by side, but the scale hadn't changed much, but I had changed. I felt better. And that was when I realized the power of how we feel is so important, because the better I felt, I was then willing to get some more movement. Maybe now I'll try some exercise. And again, I'd done these little VHS tapes at home. I stuck with those a little bit more with my 5-8 pound dumbbells. And then I decided to pay a little bit of money and do this hip body weight program from home because I never entered my head to go into a gym and lift weights. Like athletes do that, like young girls do that, not older moms nearing 40, right? And it kind of just snowballed from there because I realized not only was this fun and I maybe can move because I have energy now and I wanted to change the shape of my body and I wanted to get stronger. And it wasn't so much about just the number on the scale and being skinnier and like a thinner version of my kind of a skinny fat. I hate that term, but it's one we all recognize. That's kind of where I felt like my body was. I wanted to actually be strong. I wanted to keep up with my kids. I wanted some muscle definition. I wanted to do these hard things I didn't think were ever possible, kind of like a kid in a candy store. And so, I decided that how good I felt, I had to help every other woman feel. It was on this mission of, I've changed the whole dynamic of my house. I have to help other women feel this way, whether they have kids or not, whatever it is that's stressful to them, we've got to get them feeling better. Because then I noticed the key was I started eating better and I started moving and everything kind of went from there, which is why I say like my whole job as a coach is to help you feel, move, and look in that order, how, the strongest, healthiest, better, whatever term you want to input. So it's been such a wild ride. So I got certified as a personal coach and trainer. I was in a gym, loved that experience, was able to build my own body at the same time of teaching people, which was a nightmare for those first few people because they had no idea that I didn't know what I was doing. I don't even know how I got a job. Like they hire people and they're just like, we'll teach you. And it's like, but I know nothing. And so I would do this review with these clients, then go home and YouTube all of it, trying to figure out how do you put a plan together? How do you grow muscle? How do you do this? What machine is that? And so I was so excited about it all. I changed my own body and learned how to grow muscle and how to be healthier with your lifestyle and with eating and taught clients along the way. And then decided that I wanted to do this for much more women. And I've just been on this mission of changing how we view our bodies and our goal bodies and where we want to be, because we've been taught for so long. Tell me if you know this, cardio, hours of cardio, eat as much as little as possible, right? So as little as possible, as much salad as possible. Muscles are bulky. And so that was kind of my mentality, was cardio and eating less. And my mission is to change that viewpoint with women, for one, to understand that if we want to change our body fat, that comes with nutrition and daily steps. If we want to change the shape of our body, it comes from lifting weights, and it won't make you bulky, I promise. And just get that clear distinction so we have healthy mindset so that we can see the goals that we want. I want women so bad to feel, when they're looking in the mirror, of worth and value. And I found that through changing basic habits and by building my confidence with lifting weights, doing things I didn't think were possible. And my aha moment, if this is where you're at, like where I used to be, where it was just like, well, I'm doing cardio, I'm doing stuff from home, I don't want to lift weights. I'm trying to do the cardio aspect and eating less or under eating. I realized like my aha moment, for the shift in my programming, or what my goal was one of the first few weeks I was in the gym. And it was a two level gym. And so where I was standing, I could see on the main floor all these weights and equipment, and then a cable machine. And then above that, directly above it, was a whole bunch of treadmills, ellipticals, and women doing cardio. And I remember standing there, like kind of assessing what the gym layout was, and I don't know what pieces and areas I wanted to get to know. And I watched these cardio women that looked miserable. They were like hunched over and sweaty and red in the face and just doing the same thing over and over again. I'd seen them for days doing the same thing, and they didn't necessarily look happy up there because it's tiring. Now that I've done it, I get it. But then I looked down on the main floor, and directly underneath, so there was a contrast, and I wish I had a video of this, was this girl about my age, close to 40. And she was doing 2 pull-ups and dropped to the ground, 2 push-ups, 2 pull-ups, 2 push-ups. And I stood there and just watched her go up and down in awe. It blew my mind because that was something I never even thought possible for me. I mean, I hung on a pull-up bar with like this amount of movement. I could not move at all on a bar. And so I just admired this. And then I look up at the cardio, and I saw the contrast of the two, from like lifting weights and strength to cardio. And I was like, what I want to focus on is this lifting weights. I want this body. And it really did help me shift from just trying to be as small as I could to being as strong as I could. And I'm not sure where that's going to put my body. But to have that visual representation was such a big deal for me. Now, you want the perfect pairing, right? We do need a little bit of cardio from heart health and muscular endurance and things, but it's where you put the priority. And so that was another aha moment of just like, I have to help women realize the value of building, right? We can have fat loss as a goal. We can do cardio, but the main thing should be focusing on what my body can do and how strong it is, and the building element, right? And it was just fascinating to me. And so I actually went up to the girl a little while later and said, okay, maybe this sounds silly or whatnot, but can I ask how many pull-ups can you do in a row? Like a wide grip or pull-up. And, she was, I don't know what she thought when I asked her that, but she said, I can do 13. And I just remember thinking that's like amazing. She said, well, how many can you do? And I said, oh, absolutely none. Like I can't move at all. And, it became my entire goal with lifting weights to be able to do 13 pull-ups. And it took me a couple of years. And it was probably a year ago that I did it, and I hit 13 pull-ups. And I literally finished the 13th, which about killed me, but I got it, dropped to the ground and just cried. Like it was something I'd worked so hard on, but just proof that no matter how old we are, no matter how weak we think we are, overweight, underweight, all the things that we put on ourselves that almost in our own heads kind of define our value, our worth, or this is just my identity. I'm just this, and it's just stuck there, right? And I had to get past the identity that I'm this, tall, skinny with no muscle, stay-at-home mom of 4, now 40, with zero athletic experience, still not very coordinated, is still slow to getting how this stuff works. I could still change. And if that's a goal that I wanted to be stronger and do push-ups and pull-ups, that was possible. I just had to learn how to be consistent and show up every day without having a timeline of, I want this by this time. And it was just like, this is going to be a fun ride. Kidney Candy store again. Let's just see what my body's capable of doing. And it has been an amazing last couple of years. I've lifted at this point for 5 years now. I'm constantly still giving myself new goals, challenging myself. My body's still changing. There are parts of my body that I still don't love where they are, right? It's never like, oh, you get a perfect body. It's just a process of finding that mindset and a healthy relationship with what you're doing. And the goals and the lifestyle that you have to get you how you want to feel, move, and look. So that's my whole mission, is especially with this podcast, with my workout program that I offer, with my YouTube videos, or anything it is that I'm sharing, I'm trying to educate, because we only know what we know, right? So I look back at the time, I only knew that the scale might make me happy. I might be happier if I hit this certain weight, which we all know we hit that weight and they're like, I'm still not happy because that really wasn't what I wanted. Maybe I have to lose 5 more pounds to find that, right? We just keep going and going. And that's all that I knew, right? And so it's not a bad thing. It's just, I feel like it's like my mission to be able to just show that that's a piece, that's a tool. But the focus is building a healthier, stronger version of you. And in any way that I can help along that journey to either, again, entertain or inspire, especially educate, bring people on here that are specialists in things that we're going to answer all of the questions, the things that suck, the things that are hard for us, right? The topics, the menopause we're going through, all these things that stress us out. So that we can help give you that feeling of not feeling like, why am I the only one that can't do this? Why am I not worthy? Why am I not enough? Why can I not have the ability to handle the stress or get to the gym when everybody else does? I don't want you to feel that way anymore. I want you to realize there's a whole community of women from across the world that struggle with the same things, but together, and hopefully through these topics and sharing stories here, that you'll see that it isn't just you, that you do have the strength to find that inner, strongest, healthiest version of you, and it's going to be amazing.